Camera movement is one of the many factors that makes a video look cinematic, and one of the camera movements that can really enhance the impact of a scene is the dolly zoom. This is a combination of either moving the camera closer to the subject while zooming out, or moving the camera further away from the subject while zooming in, all while attempting to keep the subject in the same relative area of the frame and at the same size. This results in the background either extending further away or compressing very closely into the subject. Of course, you want to have a reason for the camera movements that you choose in your video, and overuse of the dolly zoom shot will make it less effective. So let's take a look at some examples of the dolly zoom being used to enhance the storytelling of a film. There are two main ways that I usually see the dolly zoom being used. One is with a close-up of a person centered in the frame, which typically happens when there's either some kind of profound realization or something unexpected happens. The other is when there is no subject and the background is either being stretched or compressed to show what may be happening in someone's mind, as in something seems very far away or the feeling of things closing in. Let's first take a look at the most common use, where the camera begins zoomed in on a character and is then simultaneously moved closer while zooming out so that the background stretches away from the character. And since these movements typically happen when there's some kind of big revelation, keep in mind that there will be spoilers in this video. In this scene from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Peter's dad reveals that he was responsible for the death of Peter's mother.
What?
And something interesting I noticed was that when it cuts back to Peter after his dad says, "I know that sounds bad," it's actually a different shot with a longer lens, like at the beginning of the dolly zoom shot. What happens when you go from that longer lens of 50 to 85 millimeters to a wider 24 millimeter shot while pushing in closer is the face goes from a natural look to a more distorted, skinny look from the wider angle lens. So when it cuts back to him, we still have the same close-up framing, but his face looks more natural again compared to the end of the dolly zoom shot. And I actually have a video showing how to achieve this type of shot along with the equipment that helped me to do that, which I'll link for you in the description, and we mimic this exact shot for one of our examples. Next up, we have an example from Click, where Adam Sandler's character has been missing out on his family's lives because he's so obsessed with his career. When he hears his daughter refer to her stepdad as Dad,
I raised you there, Dad. Come on.
Dad?
we see a dolly zoom in on him as he realizes what he's lost, which then leads to him having a heart attack. At the end of Rapunzel, she tries to use her magical hair to save Flynn, but he cuts her hair in order to break the magic and free her from Mother Gothel. We then see a dolly zoom on Mother Gothel as she realizes what the broken magic means for her, since that magic was the only thing keeping her alive for so many years. Let's take a look at one more example of this version of the dolly zoom being used for somewhat different effect in Boss Baby when the baby first shows up. The older brother Tim feels like he's being left out because the baby is taking all of his parents' attention. In the dolly zoom, it shows Tim in the background being stretched away from his parents, further emphasizing the distance that he's feeling between them. But now let's take a look at the reverse of this type of shot, where the camera starts close with a wide angle on the subject and moves further away while zooming in to make the background become more compressed against the subject. In Ratatouille, when Remy sees his chef idol on the TV speaking motivationally, the reverse dolly zoom is used, bringing the TV in the background closer to him, giving a feeling that he's becoming more connected to the chef on the TV. In Spies in Disguise, Lance drinks the potion that is supposed to turn him back into a human, and since birds have a very wide field of view, this reverse dolly zoom is used in a unique way to enhance the transformation back into a human by showing his view of Walter going from an extremely wide angle back to a normal one as he's transforming back to show the normal field of view of a human. And those are just a few examples of how the dolly zoom can be used both moving closer or further away from a subject to enhance various audience feelings or character emotions that are happening in the film. So let me know in the comments of any other movies where you've noticed these types of moves. But now let's take a look at some more examples where the dolly zoom is used without a subject. In Vertigo, when John is running up the steeple of the church, we see multiple shots of him looking down, and the dolly zoom is used from a zoomed in to a wide shot to enhance the feeling of a fear of heights by making the ground stretch very far away from the initial point of view to feel like you're even higher than you actually are. Another example of this same type of shot is in Luca, when Alberto tries to get Luca to ride their Vespa down a really steep hill. We see the dolly zoom stretch out the hill and make it look way bigger and steeper, which then leads to Luca telling him no thank you to riding down the hill. Another example is in Lord of the Rings 3, when Smeagol brings Frodo to a tunnel and tells him that he must pass through it. As Frodo looks in, the dolly zoom stretches the tunnel out, making it seem even more creepy, to which Frodo then says that he'd rather not go through. And the feeling of that tunnel seeming creepy is even more enhanced to the audience because we know that Smeagol is trying to trick him into going into a spider's lair. Those are all examples of the background being stretched out further without a subject in the frame, but one more version of the dolly zoom is where the background is compressed with no subject in the frame. Again, we come to Lord of the Rings, where Frodo is being chased and he senses that something's wrong. When he looks down the path, a dolly zoom compresses the background, making it feel like the bad guys are closing in very quickly. And those are all the variations of the dolly zoom that I've noticed that can be used for unique moments in your film in order to enhance whatever type of feeling you're trying to convey to your audience. Again, I have another video where we experimented with mimicking various dolly zoom shots from movies using sliders and focus wheels that you can check out to learn more about these types of shots. If you have any questions about using this type of shot or anything else to do with filmmaking, let me know in the comments and we can discuss it more there. Please like this video if it was helpful for you and subscribe to see more filmmaking content and tutorials like this. The dolly zoom is a great type of camera movement to add to your filmmaking arsenal, but again, be sure to use it sparingly within the same project so that it doesn't lose its effectiveness. So throw a zoom lens on your camera and go try it out for yourself.